And basically you have 5 clicks. At the end of the 5th click, that's where the student must stop reading, take a screenshot, and here you would have to explain to students how they take screenshots, but take a screenshot of the page that they landed on and then post that to a discussion forum. And this way also, and then people comment on where each other ended up. Did anybody end up on exactly the same page? And it also gives you as the tutor an idea of what kind of things are interesting to people. You know, if you're working from the Yahoo main page and everybody, or a whole bunch of people clicked on the same news story and followed that, well then that's going to give you an idea for a future lesson. Maybe you could base something around that news story or so on. And this, to my mind, is a kind of activity that only can be done online and does reflect very much the online style of reading, you know, clicking from one thing to another, not reading a thing all the way through, clicking somewhere else, and so on. Another kind of reading task that I like to do are jigsaw readings, where I would give students the same text to read, but each of them have, or in pairs, they have different tasks to do. So one pair might have a task of summarizing the text. Another might have a task of finding 5 keywords and finding the definitions for them online that they would think would be useful to know from that text. Those are ones that I've done in class. Ones that you could do online, which are even more suitable online, as well as those two, are things like find 3 pictures that would go with this text and include those on a forum. Another kind of jigsaw task would be find 3 other articles relating to this, or 3 Wikipedia entries that relate to information in this text, and post a summary or links to those and what you think of them. So those are 2 different kinds of reading activities. Both of them built in with interaction and communication elements are reading what each other have written, having to leave comments, and so on and so forth. Okay, let's go on to the next slide.
Okay, I think, yes, let's stay here on the writing one just very quickly. Because we're running out of time, I'm just going to quickly describe the first activity there, which is anti-protocols. So Lindsay's just looked at the skill of reading online, and I'm talking about the skill of writing online. A fun activity you can do, and you can do this face-to-face as well, but it does work well online, is getting students to write what we call anti-protocols, or it's basically just bad advice. So you give them a scenario or a situation, and they have to come up with kind of bad advice or wrong advice or the opposite of what you would really do. So the example there in the box is computer problems. And clearly, you know, first of all, panic, think you've lost everything. This is what you shouldn't do. But it's written as if it was real. You could do things like, you know, problems, bad advice for problems, and so on. This works well most of the time, but Lindsay and I have found that it doesn't work with all students. We've had cases in the past where a group just doesn't quite get it. They can't see why you would be writing everything, you know, wrong. What for? Why not just proper advice? So it depends on the group. Most of the time it does work. Sometimes if they're not seeing the point, they might just not, you know, write instead of an anti-protocol, they'll write a real protocol. So we tend to be very careful about when and how we use this. But when it works, it's a lot of fun. Okay, if we could move on to the next slide, Tanya. And Lindsay, maybe we just talk about the first one here.
Okay, let's talk about the first one. There's several things that you can do language work-wise online. Lots of the activities that we suggest, and there are too many of us here really to do this, are things like chat, things that you can do in real time in chats. So some of the chat warmers, the ones that Nicky did with you at the beginning, are easily adapted for language class type things. Something else that I'd done recently, sort of more for fun, and had experimented with students, is working on subtitles. Because I read an article about social media recently that said the most popular area of social media now and internet use generally worldwide is using video. I've started incorporating more video into my online courses. And for language work for video, there's a really great site. Actually, Tanya, are you able to navigate to a site just so they can see what the site is? Tanya, are you still there?
Yes, sorry, I keep muting myself because I don't want to breathe. I can go to another site, but I just have to escape this. Is that all right?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, escape that. I'm going to show you guys all a site, which is wonderful. I can't show you the stuff that I made on it because you won't hear it. But if you just type in overstream.net.
Oops.
Yeah, overstream.net. Okay. Tiny's just going to this website, overstream.net. Overstream is called Help Them Understand. And what you can do is, you can see it says, welcome to overstream.net. Add subtitles to online videos. It's so easy. Watch demo, right? Well, we're not going to see a demo because you won't hear it. But if you go to this site, you'll be able to see what other work people have done. It basically allows you to take any YouTube video, you feed it into the Overstream machine, and then you can add your own subtitles to it. In YouTube, you can add subtitles to videos if they're your own videos. But in Overstream, you can add it to any video. And if you go up to look up in the corner, the top right corner.
Yeah, oh, there we go.
Yeah, scroll up. Yeah, there we are. You can register for an account, and it's completely free. And once you're accustomed to making these, they're very easy. Or you could register a kind of course account to allow students to then subtitle their own clips. Now, I've done different things with this. For example, subtitling a very short clip, but including a few deliberate mistakes. So using the student's first language and subtitling it with some mistakes. Or doing it the other way around, subtitling something from English into their language, just a very short thing, and including some gaps or so on. So, you know, really useful site and very interesting and possible to make a sort of language work as well on this. Okay, let's go back to the slides. And finally, another tool I just want to mention to you, you'd have to search for it on Google, is Hot Potatoes. Hot Potatoes allows you to make your own, and I think it's a Canadian site as well. It allows you to make your own interactive exercises and then upload them, you know, to the internet, and sort of you have a link to a web page. You can make kind of simple crossword puzzles, multiple choice, drag and drop, all kinds of activities. Well, and this is great for teachers, but you can also put it in the hands of the students and giving them a kind of topic area or a grammar area or a vocabulary area and asking them to create their own tests. First of all, they do it in Word and send it to you so you can check that, you know, the answers are correct and everything, and then they make the tests for each other. So
and what was the name of that again, Lindsay?
It's Hot Potatoes. It's on the slide. It's Hot Potatoes, and I think it's based out of Victoria in Canada.
Yep, UVic.
UVic, that's right. Yep, they're the creators of this great resource.
Can I just add that Priscilla is chipping in with 2 cents. She says there's another one called Quandary, and that's Quandary. And she says that's another great tool for that.
Yes. Okay. Well, thank you very much. Shall we move on to the next slide? We're coming to the end of the webinar here.
Oh.
Nikki, is this yours?
Yeah, okay. I'll just quickly talk about the first activity as well so that we have some time for question and answer. Slideshow is basically clearly great for the speaking skill. So by slideshow, I mean you upload either a slide, a PowerPoint slide, or a photo, a digital photo, and then you provide a voice commentary over that. So it's a bit like, I mean, you could do this with PowerPoint, or you could do it with something like Windows Movie Makers or iMovie, which is on your PC. But much better is to use a web-based site. So there's one that I think many of you probably know called VoiceThread.